Welcome. I'll be reacting to Outlander Season 1, Episode 12. I recently posted a poll on Patreon. If you could time travel at Craig Nadoon, would you? 100% said yes. So despite how dangerous and occasionally inconvenient it is, it looks like everyone would prefer to go back in time. Personally, I would think it's a lot of fun to travel back in time, but only if I could bring a large backpack or duffel of modern conveniences like pain medication. This is not a market substitute. Please support the original.
How high can you fly?
Well, I don't know exactly. Thousands of feet in the air, certainly.
Thousands of feet? Must have God's own view of the world from that height.
I mean, everything you can see on the ground, it just falls away until it disappears.
I do love flying. Do you remember the first time that you went in an airplane? I think I was about 6 or 7. Although the first time I flew alone, I think I was more like 9. It's so neat how you go really, really fast up the ramp. It goes... That's my favorite part. Landing and taking off. Is it safe for him to be coming here, though? It's gorgeous.
It's like you always said it
But won't he get into trouble?
That Randall had got Jenny with a bastard child.
It's rumors.
Aye.
He really has no idea what he's walking into.
This is my wee Jamie. This is your Uncle McCree, the one you're named after.
Why?
Jamie!
Why would you name him after me?
Yeah, Jamie, you're making assumptions.
You should all go
Tell
inside.
that trollop to keep her name out of my business.
She's my wife, and you'll speak of her with respect.
Jamie, please.
You know nothing. You've been gone 4 years. Jamie, stop.
Do I have to do what I did when we were bairns? Grab you by the bollocks to make you stand still and listen to me?
You're now trying to shame me in front of my own wife.
Well, if she's your wife, I imagine she's more familiar with your balls than I am. Don't test me, brother.
They are definitely siblings.
Ian.
Your brother-in-law.
It's good to see you, Jamie. You always knew how to make an entrance.
After he failed you. I went with him into the house. He took me up the stairs. He was talking the whole way up, but I didn't hear a word he said.
He is so creepy. Oh, yes, girl.
Turn around.
It was the only thing that came to my mind to do. But he didn't like it when I laughed, and I could see that, so I laughed some more.
She was incredibly observant in a really terrifying, horrible situation.
And that's the last I saw of Captain Randall.
You see, you were wrong, and I'm expecting an apology.
Well, have I no said as much?
No, you haven't. She's right. She deserves an apology.
Thank you, Claire.
This is between my brother and me.
I was just suggesting that
Can I see you in private for a moment?
I'm not the meek and obedient type.
Don't think anyone would ever make that mistake, Sassenach. I don't think anyone would ever say the same of Colum's wife either. But she never crossed her husband's word in public.
That is very true.
Now, behind closed doors, let's just say my uncle dodged his share of crockery in his time.
All right, awkwardness ready to commence again.
You're planning on staying then?
Aye.
Never thought you'd be so trusting of the English.
I feel sorry for Ian in this scene. He's just like...
It came from a woman called Mrs. Fitzgibbons. It's upstairs in the spare
Mrs.
room.
Fitz!
Since the laird's staying, he should have the main bedchamber.
This blade.
It's beautiful.
10th century.
Ooh,
Told you.
my favorite
It's
era.
raised by an archaeologist.
Jamie! Father, what are you doing here? Having a word with Captain Randall. Trying to see if we can get you out.
I'm sorry for the whole damn mess. You left me in charge, and now
What
Jenny...
has happened is not your fault. I know you were flogged.
I'll be all right.
Captain Randall is waiting. No. This is my son. Have you no compassion?
It would be impossible for him to make it back in time. So,
He bandied words around for a while. He likes to do that.
Yeah, he does.
Likes to play with his toys.
give over to me. Make free of your body. And there will be no second flogging.
Wow.
If not, well...
So that's what this is about. Makes sense in a horrible way.
I thought being buggered would be less painful. And be over quicker, most likely. And he said I'd be set free the same day, so I considered it.
Oh, that makes this scene that much worse. And I didn't think that was possible.
Dougal, he let out a small sound and dropped like a rock.
The heart attack,
Didn't get up
probably?
again.
Oh, now Jamie would blame
Didn't see
himself as well.
Didn't see him die. Didn't see him taken away. Didn't see him buried. Never even seen his grave.
Is this after dinner? Or is this them waiting for the guys to show up? That is a good question. When did that particular tradition start? That after dinner, the men would stay and the women would go off somewhere and then eventually the men would join them? This time period, the host and the most senior lady would enter first, then the hostess, then the rest of the guests. The senior lady would sit near the hostess in the places of honor. Courses were between 5 and 25 dishes. Yes, that sounds about right. Fish dishes were never placed at the center of the table? Really? It would start with soup and wine. Let's see, what do they have on the table right now? Looks more like a salad and wine. Although there were many dishes on the table, each person tended to choose 2 or 3 they preferred. That is so true. I've been to multi-course dinners, and yeah, some of them you just kind of let pass through, and you're like, oh, one bite. And then others you're like, yes, I love duck, for example, so when the duck comes out, I pretty much eat the whole thing. And then when the soup comes out, I'm just like, I don't like soup. Dessert tended to be eaten with the fingers, dried fruit, nuts, small cakes, cheese. Oh, here we go. After drinking the final wine, the hostess would rise, the gentleman would open the door, then the women would follow the hostess out. Yeah, so I was right. That would be the tradition in this time period. But it looks like in this case, they're not being formal about it, and the men are just late.
It's like when we collected the rents for the Mackenzies, but here the tenants come to us to pay.
And sorely needed this quarter. We've had poor harvests 2 years running.
We'll take a look at the ledgers after we've eaten. Aye.
Thought you'd want to visit Father's grave.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. Tomorrow.
If he were alive, he'd expect a visit this evening.
If he were alive, he'd expect me to go over the ledgers and prepare for quarter day.
I think she's upset he just randomly showed up out of the blue and is taking over. She's been in charge for a very long time. She's basically been lowered. I think she's frustrated.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that is so thoughtful of them. I know it's technically tradition, but they went all out for her.
I'll no squeeze the last penny from you when times are hard. That was my father's view. Mine as well.
Jamie, what are you doing? Have you looked at the books yet? How good are you at maths?
You put that back, you cheeky wee bastard!
Excuse me.
Oh no, Claire's gonna get herself into trouble again. Oh.
I've seen elephants sit down with less impact.
Now you're a Scot, you should work on your Gaelic.
He has a point. She should learn the language if she's staying there. Oh, the hangover. Do they have a hangover cure in the 18th century? Like a raw egg or something? Raw eel with almonds? Pickled sheep's eyeballs. Never mind, this is worse. Tree ivy juice? Oh, okay, they did have prairie oysters back then. Oh, here's a fun 1930s one. Coca-Cola with milk. I have no idea what that would taste like. It sounds disgusting. Powdered human skull. Dried viper and ammonia? Oh, and it had to be the skull of a person who was hanged. The Scots had Highland fling, corn flour, buttermilk with salt and pepper, and it's a warm drink. Now that sounds a little bit more reasonable. So I think Jamie needs to get himself a Highland fling and a nap before visiting the grave. Buttermilk, Jamie. Get some buttermilk.
I am the laird of this estate now, and I do not need to discuss the running of it with my sister.
I think you do, because she has been the one running it.
Your pardon.
We had to grind the flour by hand.
What's being done about it?
The mistress, Mrs. Murray, had me send for Davy McAndrews to fix the mill.
Deal with it myself.
No, Jamie. No. You're not doing a very good job fixing things. I think you should let your sister handle this. And also, that poor servant has been grinding by hand. Maybe you should thank her. Jamie, you probably are going to make it worse. Why don't you wait for the mill expert, Jamie?
Hi, there was.
Okay, hide his clothes, fast. Hide his clothes.
You should call your master back. He shouldn't meddle in things he doesn't understand.
Oh, you've no cause for worry, Mrs. Corporal's father has a wheat mill in Hampshire. What he doesn't know about water wheels would fit him a shoe.
Jamie got it free. Yes. Oh no!
Perfectly good shirt. How on earth did that get stuck into the mill?
It's Scotland, sir.
It's Scotland, sir.
Ladies.
She hasn't seen his back before. It's one thing to hear about what your brother went through. It's another to see his back like that. I have a feeling she's going to come round now.
I've not tried the water pepper, no.
I'd be happy to make some for you.
Thank you. Jamie said you were a healer. You've seen mangled men before.
I feel like Ian and I would get along fairly well. In social situations, we're similar. We kind of like to hide in the back and let the other people talk. unless we feel really comfortable. And we like to reach out to someone more one-on-one, like he's doing here with Claire. And we're both night owls. So I really like his character.
Well, I didn't ken exactly what she said, but it ended with her kissing me and saying, "Fine, we'll be married on St. Martin's Day." And I was still explaining to her why we couldn't do any such thing when I found myself in front of a priest saying, "I take thee, Janet."
She's an extraordinary woman, isn't she? How do you manage?
Well, kick them harder.
He has some really good advice for her. I'm Team Ian.
You're trying to be someone you're not. And in the process, you're wrecking the family that you do have left. And if you're not careful, you're going to lose them too.
I was wrong not to consult you, and I'm sorry.
I love that Jamie is apologizing, but I actually paused it because I absolutely adore her clasp. It is so beautiful.
Ever since Father died, a small, dark part of me has blamed you for his death. When they told me what happened at Fort William.
Oh, that's why she's been so upset.
But then out at the mill pond, when I saw the scars on your back, it was me. It's my fault that Randall beat you so.
You don't ken what you're saying.
But I do.
No.
Cry, no.
No, don't think that way. There's one person that deserves blame, and that is Randall. One person.
Are you telling me that I may not love you as much as you love me? Because if you are, Jamie Fraser, I'll tell you right now, it's not true.
Here we go.
Welcome home, Laird Brochtura.
Like I actually belong here.
That's wonderful. But now I'm worried all the redcoats are gonna just descend on us at the end of the episode.
I wake up every day and I find that I love you more than I did the day before.
They have way better communication now than they did before. Her being able to tell him who she really was, I think, helped with that. Here we go. Everything's about to go wrong. Just wait for it.
Heard enough from the likes of you.
Oh, you stay silent as a lamb, my friend. Or this lovely lass is going to be scrubbing your brains off the floor.
I knew it! No! I hate being right. Everything was going so well. At first, the sibling rivalry really felt contrived. But once Jenny explained that she really did blame him a little bit for her father's death, and then of course she'd been running everything and he was just ignoring her and not taking her advice, it made sense from her perspective. And Jamie really should have sat down and thought about what was going on the 4 years that he was gone. They didn't just put the entire place on pause like Sleeping Beauty's castle. It still had to run. Somebody had to be Laird. His sister stepped up, and he needed to respect that and everything that she had accomplished. He may not have agreed with it all, but he needed to at least respect what she had done and talk to her. After all this time with Claire being so outspoken, you'd think that he would have learned not to just dismiss women, but apparently he still has a long way to go, which is fine. He's so young. As they pointed out in the beginning of this episode, she's only, what, 27? And he was like, oh, you're so old, you know. So that means he must be 19, 20, somewhere in there. The point is, he's very young. And he is still learning. And that's fine. Because I think that's why I like his character so much, is that he has a capacity to change. By the end, he was realizing what he had done wrong and rectifying it. And to me, that is what makes his character so brilliant. And we have to talk about Ian for a second. I love him so much. He must be protected at all costs. I just started watching him in the background. I might have missed some of this episode, as a matter of fact, because Jenny and Jamie were having at each other in the main part of the episode, and I'm just watching Ian in the back chilling, just reacting, like, he's the best. I see you, fellow reactor. I don't think I mentioned it in the episode, but the wallpaper of his room, wow, so neat, just so dramatic and extra. I mean, that is some wallpaper. It was fascinating getting to know his family a little bit more, and all the dogs running everywhere were so adorable. So many cute dogs in this episode.